traveled to several different countries here on the continent of Africa. I've been to Egypt, I've been to South Africa, but I don't even know if I can even give a comparison. It was a peace. I felt like a peace and also like a remembrance. The land remembered me. I have a vision about being in Africa. Number one, being free. The vision is more of a feeling, the feeling of being free. So back in the US, I just felt very weighed down. And especially in Arizona, I had come to a place where I felt like I had reached the ceiling of where I was. You know, there was no more growth for me in that area. I had been there almost 20 years. And so my insides were crying out for something different. You know, there were just times I didn't feel like myself. I didn't really feel like I could really show up in all my fullness and all my greatness. And so I knew it was time for me to go. Sometimes I'll come up here and I'll do yoga or do my Pilates. I can just look out over the entire compound. Sometimes I just sit here and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that I am living in Ghana. Initially, when I got here to Ghana, my ancestors also told me that this was your time to rest. You've done a tremendous job all these years. And now this is your time, and it's your time to rest. I didn't even know how to rest. It's like living in chaos. When chaos is all you know, then when something else that comes around is serene, you don't know how to behave. Hi, I'm Jalea. I relocated from the US here to Ghana. I live off $1,000 a month, and even though I live with little, I feel so full inside.
Oh wait, don't forget about me. Hi, my name is Amina Lewis. I'm 10 years old and I'm from Arizona, and this is my mom.
Let's go. So let's take a look at the compound. So we have one home here to the side. Let's go around to the back. So this is the back of my home. This is where we dry our clothes, hang and dry our clothes. Keep coming on around. So all of this is still my home. This is our water tanks here. Watch your step. Okay, keep coming. So this is another part of the compound here. Another home. And then this is one of my favorite parts about the compound. This is where I can come out and get some peace. I can come out here and meditate. I just sit here, look out at the garden. It's just very peaceful. So I love it. That's one of my favorite parts. All right, let me take you up this way. So this is another area that I love. It's like our little balcony terrace area. Sometimes I'll come up here and I'll do yoga or do my Pilates. And then I just look out. I can just look out over the entire compound. Yeah, sometimes I just sit here and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that I am living in Ghana. Yeah, love it. Another one of the parts that I love is that we have natural grass. Natural grass. So I come out here, I ground, and I just give thanks. I give thanks to the land. I give thanks to Mother Africa. All right, let's go inside. I grew up in a home with a single parents, just my mom and I. My older sister's about 7 years difference between us. So my mother was a school teacher and she loved to travel. So every summer vacation we would leave, we would go somewhere. So my mother transitioned. She passed when I was 21. But we spent so many trips traveling together. So I've been to Brazil, Venezuela, Guatemala with my mom. So those are some of the ones that I can really remember. So the traveling has always been a part of me, a part of my life. So kind of fast forwarding to my career. I've always been a nurturer and a healer. And so I went into nursing. So I've been a nurse for since 2001, so about 25 years. I've been a nurse. I retired in 2021. the start of the 2020, the start of the pandemic. I think the pandemic started in March, and I retired in April. So that was my out. But I have been a nurse and I have worked, my time was just never mine. When you're working as a nurse, you're on somebody else's clock. You're clocking in, you're clocking out 7 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours. But then you spend like the rest of your day, you have to get to work. Then when you get off, you're trying to, fit in time with your family. And so my time just was never mine. And I did that for so many years. I can remember like chasing money, picking up extra shifts. If I was supposed to work 3 days, I was working 5 days, just really in the US, it's like a grind, right? So you're trying to make money. You're trying to get more and more and more. It's like a hustle culture, I like to call it. It is a rat race. 2018, I knew that I wanted to leave. And I remember, and I only came upon this when I was packing to move to Ghana. I found an old journal, and I had written in the journal, and I call it scripting your life. And so I had scripted out, I'm so thankful and blessed that I'm now living in Africa. I didn't say where in Africa, but I just said that I was living in Africa, and that was in 2018 that I wrote that. And so I knew that it was coming. I knew that it was coming. So what I did next was just really plan for that. I didn't have any specific place in mind. There were about 5 countries that I was looking at going to. But I knew that I needed to get my older daughter graduated from high school and then get her off to college. And so she did that successfully in 2025. She's a freshman. She just finished her freshman year at Penn State. And so when she got off to college, we used to joke, and I said, I'm gonna have a U-Haul for you. And then I'm gonna have a U-Haul for me because I'm going to leave. And that was it. And I just stayed true to myself and allowed things to play out for me to be here in Ghana. Welcome in. This home is actually a new build. I'm the first person to live here. So this is the living area. Primarily my daughter and her friends hang out here majority of the time, but this is the space. The house is an open concept. So you've got the living area here. We've got our dining area. And like I said, it's just she and I. So we are learning to live with less, but we actually have more. We have more time together. We have more memories that we create together. All right, so let me show you Amina's room here. So this is Amina's room. And then she's got her own ensuite bathroom here. All right this way. And then we've got my room. Come on in. For me, this was the biggest change for me. All I have is a bed, my closet, and my nightstand. That's it. I've never in my life only had my clothes and something so small before. So this is a definite change for me, but I love it. And then we've got the bathrooms. Come on in, take a look at it. And let's go next door. This is where I spent a lot of, all right, so we'll come into my office space. This is where I spent a lot of time. So this is my office in here. And we've also got a bathroom there. And then it also doubles as my storage. That's that. And then we've got the kitchen. Come on in. So we've got the kitchen / laundry room. So we're gonna take these clothes and hang these outside. But yeah, so this is the kitchen. And this is it. Welcome to my home. This is what it looks like to live with less, but actually have more. I love Ghana.
Hey Webnation family, I have some exciting news. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you because our trip to South Africa this November is almost fully sold out. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who trusted us to experience South Africa with Webnation. I'm excited to announce that we are officially launching our Ghana Sankofa Homecoming experience for 2027. For the past few years, you've watched incredible stories on this channel. Stories of people who left the United States to other parts of Africa, who bought land, started businesses, reconnected with their roots, and built a brand new life in Africa. But now, it's your turn. We are launching a 14-day experience through Ghana, designed to help you experience Ghana in a more meaningful way. This isn't your typical vacation. It's an opportunity to experience the powerful and rich history of Ghana. This trip will give you the opportunity to immerse yourself in the authentic Ghanaian culture, connect with local entrepreneurs, explore real estate and other investment opportunities available here in Ghana. Whether you've been dreaming about visiting Africa, reconnecting with your heritage, or simply visiting Africa for the very first time, this trip is for you. And to make it easier to join us, all you need to do is to secure your spot with just a deposit. Then you have more than 11 months to pay the remaining balance through a very flexible installment payment plan. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen to secure your spot now, and let's welcome you to Ghana. You've watched the stories on Webnation. It's your time to live your own. Now, let's get back to the video.
Chaos. Chaos. So much going on in the US. It truly is. And I had started to shed and let things go many years ago, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. I started to curtail what I watched on TV. I stopped watching TV. I stopped going to certain places. I stopped, drinking and hanging out. So my life started to shift. So there were a lot of things that I didn't do anymore that I used to do. And what I really wanted to find here in Ghana that I did find was myself. In the US, I wore so many masks, the helper, the healer, the doer. Yeah, always putting people before my own needs, always, right? And I think that for women of color, somebody told us that we were supposed to do that. And I no longer want that to be my story. Like, I'm going to put my oxygen mask on first and take care of me. And then if I got anything left over, I'm willing to share, but I'm gonna take care of myself first. 2024, I have a girlfriend back in the United States, and she has a friend that lives here in Ghana, and her friend does tours. So she was introducing us, and I said, well, oh, okay, that's nice. And the minute I said that, I heard my ancestors say, bring healing to Ghana. So I'm a registered nurse, but I'm also a holistic healer and an herbalist, and so I kind of do all different things, So I said, well, let me do a women's healing retreat. So in 2025, January 2025, I brought over some ladies from the US, and we had a healing retreat here in Ghana. That was my first time ever even coming. So the moment that I stepped foot in Ghana, I knew that this was home. From the moment I landed the plane, I knew that Ghana was home. A typical day for me in Ghana is loose. It's very loose. I say that. Initially, when I got here to Ghana, my ancestors also told me that this was your time to rest. Like, you've done a fabulous job. You've done a tremendous job all these years. And now this is your time, and it's your time to rest. I didn't even know how to rest. I didn't know how to rest. I was so used to being busy. I was so used to going and doing and being for everybody else that it was like, I was like crawling out of my skin when I first got here, because number one, you're in a new country, right? And so you wanna get out, you wanna explore. And they were like, no, we just want you to rest. So like for the first 2 months or so, I didn't do much. I did not do much. There were some days I didn't even leave the house. And I was like forced. I felt like I was forced to be still. My first 2 months in Ghana, I felt very dysregulated. So my nervous system was used to going at this fast pace. And now my nervous system was trying to recalibrate itself. And I was going against it, like I was bucking against it because I didn't know. Like it's like living in chaos. When chaos is all you know, then when something else that comes around is serene, you don't know how to behave. So that's what it felt like the first couple months. And that's why some days I just had to lay myself down and just be still. So cost of living here in Ghana, definitely cheaper, for lack of better terms, than living in the US. So here, this home is a new build. So I'm the first person to live here, yeah. So moving to Ghana, when I told you that I started, when I came here and I knew that this was where I needed to be, everything just started to fall into place for me. So I didn't have to go looking for, a place to rent. It came to me. So I was out at New Orleans at the Essence Fest, and I met a gentleman who had a store. He had a clothing store, and I could tell that the clothes were from Ghana. So we started up a conversation, and he told me that he was building this home here. And so we connected. So before I got ready to leave, I said, well, how much would you charge me to rent the house out? The number that I had in my head was the same number that he said. I wanted to rent a house for like around $400, 400 USD. And that's what he said. So when he said that, I knew that he was sent to me, that this was where I was supposed to be. I knew nothing about, the area or anything. I just knew that this was alignment. This was where I was supposed to be. So having said that, the number has changed. So I pay here, I'm in month 6, so the rent has gone up. But the first 6 months, I paid 6,500 Ghana cedis. That included all utilities, water and everything. And then I paid my own internet. So internet cost me about 770 Ghana cedis, which is like 60 something USD. Transportation is not bad at all. Initially when I came, I had a driver. That was costly. And then I think that they were trying to, get over on me a little bit too. So, the price would increase. And so I would ask them before we would, go, well, how much will it be, for you to take me? And they would say, oh, don't worry about it. And then I'd be like, my eyes would light up like,
that's when you need to work.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. So we started taking Uber, and from here to where I teach Pilates or around town, every day if I'm spending $5 USD, like something very minimal. Yeah. Food. So initially when I came, and I shared this too, I said that Ghana is expensive, and I'm a vegetarian. And so I thought, in my mind, I was thinking like, oh, it's Africa, I'm gonna be eating fruits and vegetables, it's gonna be reasonable. It wasn't that much cheaper, and I was very shocked. I was shocked, but I will tell you a difference that I noticed. So I live on a compound, and we would go over to the market, and so I would shop local, but it's fresh food. So I'm like going back to the market like every 2 or 3 days, right? Because we've eaten it, or if I didn't eat it, it's gone bad, right? It's spoiled. So that's what I noticed was a big difference. You can get something in the US and they got all type of pesticides, and shelf life is long. So it was different, but now having to go to the market every couple of days started to add up a little bit. But I also noticed that I'm cooking more. I want to be in the kitchen. I want to be cooking. And it's very different. I didn't really do that in the US. Yeah, so I would say, to be honest, I can't even tell you how much I spend on food. Sometimes it just varies. I would say anywhere from maybe like $100, $150 per month USD. On Saturdays, she likes to eat out, so we'll eat out on Saturdays, or we'll go to a movie or something like that. So yeah, if you want to come out here and live like you in the US, you can absolutely do that. I don't choose to do that. I don't want to come out here and pay, $1,500 for rent. I could stay in the US for that. I don't want to do that, right? So you can, and some people do. That is not the lifestyle that I want to have. And before I came here to Ghana, I released so much stuff that I said to myself, I never want to have that much stuff again. Personal belongings, just stuff. You know, you're just accumulating things. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I live I think it's a minimalistic, experience here. Coming here and living like a native was aligned by my ancestors. They put all this together for me, even down to where I'm staying. I could have come here and lived in, East Legon. I could have come in here and lived in Spintex area, right? I could have. That's not where they wanted me to be. They wanted me to be surrounded by the culture. They wanted me to have good people around me to help me navigate. And so, like I said, I live on a compound, and I have help and assistance that, help me. I feel very confident if I need to leave that I can leave Amina home, by herself, and she's running around the compound. Very safe. So if I would have come here and lived in a different area, I might not have had that. So I had, back home I had some investments. So I invested, I liquidated assets. I had a home and cars, and I liquidated those and, brought my money with me. And then here, after, like I told you, after those couple of months where I was asked to sit down and to let my nervous system regulate itself, my ancestors told me, your days of having to chase, having to be on the grind, that's over with. We are moving you into alignment. So every opportunity that I have here has come to me. I have not had to look for anything. I'm not out chasing anymore. And so I'll give you just a quick example. Before I moved here to Ghana, I worked out 3 times a day. Morning, afternoon, and evening. Yoga, Pilates, strength training, all those things. So when I came to Ghana, everybody was on holiday because it was December and into January, nothing was open. And so I was like, oh my God, I was like, the ancestors really they're making me sit down. I can't work out. What am I gonna do? So finally, mid-January, the yoga studio started to open back up. So I went to one. I looked online and said, you can just show up. So I show up and they were just finishing Pilates class and a lady comes and she said, are you here for yoga? And I said, yeah. And she says, oh, well, did you sign up online? And I said, no, I thought I can just show up. And she says, oh, no, the website should not say that. So she pulls out her phone, she's looking, I pull out my phone, I'm trying to show her where it says it. I can't find it. I cannot find where it says I can just come. So I'm like, okay, no worries. I'll just come back the next day. So she's talking to she was talking to the Pilates instructor at that time. And they were saying their goodbyes. And then she comes over to me and she says, I'm very sad. The Pilates instructor, this is her last day. And I go, oh, okay. And she looks at me out the blue and she says, do you teach Pilates? And I said, as a matter of fact, I do. So I'm telling you, this is how my whole journey has been. So we exchanged information and then I got my first, job teaching Pilates. But it was the ancestors got me there, under this false pretense that I was going to go to this yoga class that never happened. So that's what I do. I teach Pilates and I just live. Living here in Ghana, I feel freer than I've ever felt. And yes, financially, I feel financially free here. I'm living on less, but I still have more. I feel very full in my spirit. My daughter was totally on board. And I have an older son. So, okay, let me give a little backstory. I have 3 children. So my oldest son is 29, and then my next daughter is 20, and then Amina, who's here with me, is 10. So it's every 10 years, I had another baby. So they're all at different points on their journey. But my oldest daughter, she was fine with it because she was starting her own journey. She was, going off to college, and she wanted me to be happy. So yeah, she was okay with it. So my extended family had mixed emotions about me leaving. Some of them were very happy for me, and some were not. Some were not happy that I was, leaving and then taking my daughter with us, taking her away from the family. So yeah, I got a little bit of backlash for wanting to choose myself. It seemed like I was doing this out of my own selfish desires, but I was really doing this for my purpose and to be true to who I am. What matters to me more now living here in Ghana than it did in the US is my well-being. It all comes back to self for me. This is a chapter in my journey, in my story, where I'm able to put myself first. I'm able to look after me. And yes, I still have children, I still have responsibilities, but I'm taking care of myself first. And Ghana allows me to do that. So what I like most about living in Ghana is that I really feel free. Like I really, truly feel like I am free here. And what I mean by free, I feel like I am at a place where I can focus on myself. I do have my daughter, and I would love for her to come out. So, Amina.
Hello everyone, my name is Amina Lewis, and I'm from Arizona. Ghana is a beautiful country, and you guys should move here. It's nice seeing everyone around me be the same color skin.
I definitely see a difference in Amina being here in Ghana. And I made a post about this, and I said that my daughter is living a soft life. What I mean by that, is that she's just able to be a kid. Like when it rains, she's outside running in the rain, up and down, floating in it, just having a good time. She doesn't have all those added responsibilities that we can have as children or that children have in the US. I see her blossoming. I see her coming into her own, independent, cooking. Never cooked back home.
I cook back home.
Rarely. Never, I shouldn't say. She rarely cooked. So just like coming into herself, being independent, she's really growing. Yeah, she's really growing. I don't have any fears about Amina growing up in America. I think that if she were a male child, I absolutely would. There are some things that could take place with her being a female, but for me, here in Ghana, and I shared this with Amina, I said she probably doesn't see it now how this experience of living in Ghana will impact her life. She'll probably look back when she's in her 20s and say, man, I'm really thankful that I had that opportunity to live in Ghana because I know that it is broadening her horizons. And I'll say this too. She's going to the 6th grade. So this year I homeschooled. Before then, she was in school in Arizona. She never had a teacher that looked like her. Never had a teacher that was her same color. If it was like maybe 2 or 3 kids in her class that, were of African American descent. So being here in Ghana and everybody looks like you, that's powerful. And so I hope that it gives her some self-confidence that she can just be herself. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. And I feel like that's one of the things that we had to do in the US. And she doesn't have to do that. She can just be who she is.
Have you heard of Malcolm in the grocery store? When I walk there, when I go in there, I see most people like me. Back in the US, I would only see a couple of black people, melanated people. But here in Ghana, everybody's my color. Wherever I look, wherever I go, wherever I see. There might be a couple people from other countries that might be a little bit different, have a different colored skin. I feel great. I feel belonged.
My healing journey actually started with my daughter, Amina. So when she was about 9 months old, I got her vaccinated with her childhood vaccines in the US, and she had complications from those. I immediately had to become her superhero, and I had to learn how to detox her body naturally. So imagine me, I'm a nurse. I was vaccinated. I got my other 2 children vaccinated and they were fine. And I got Amina vaccinated. She had complications. And so even before then, I felt like she was getting too many vaccinations at once. And I even voiced to the doctor, my concerns. And as a woman of color, my concerns were overlooked. And against my better judgment, I went ahead and got her vaccinated. So I carried a lot of guilt for that. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of my healing journey because I studied, I became an herbalist, and I learned how to heal her body from the effects of the vaccinations. So that's how that started. That's one aspect. The second aspect is I went through a second divorce. And so having 2 divorces and realizing that I was the common denominator. So what that means is I was married to one person. I didn't do any healing work. I didn't even know that I should. I didn't know what to do. I was very young. I was in my 20s. So I thought that time would heal. So 10 years later, I met somebody else and got married again and realized that that same energy that I saw in the first husband showed again in the second husband. But I was the common denominator, which means I attracted both of these people to me. So I could no longer point the finger and say, oh, it's this person, it's this person. I had to look at myself. And so that's when I started my own personal healing journey to, work on the wounds and the trauma that I had been carrying that led me to both of those individuals. When I did my healing retreat here in Ghana, all of the ladies that I brought to Ghana had a transformation, and it looked different for all of us. Myself personally, so I did this burial ritual for the ladies. So we went out, we were at Elmina, and we were along the beach, and so I buried them in the sand. And then you have to unearth yourself. So you lay there as long as you need to. If you've never been buried, in sand or in dirt, it is something to experience because you can feel, how it may feel when your time comes and, you're no longer here able to exist and that dirt is being placed on you and all these thoughts start to race through your head and you're thinking, did I do enough? You start to think about regrets. You start to think about more things that you want to do. And so for me, I heard my ancestors say, don't die with your gifts inside. And so I knew that I had more to give. Knew that I had more to share. And so being able to share with the ladies on my healing retreat was just so powerful because each one of them are walking their own journey. But coming here to Africa and placing their feet on the soil of Mother Africa, it changed them. No one went back the same way that they came. Like I said, they were all on a different journey. One of my good friends, she's like a mother to me. She's in her early 60s. She talked about being able to connect with her inner child. And we were doing like a sound healing therapy session. And she said that she could see her inner child like running and she was chasing her, trying to have a conversation with her. And so then after the retreat, she went back home and a couple weeks later and she said, she finally stopped running. I'm able to have a conversation with her. I'm able to talk to her. And that's powerful because things happen to us in our childhood. And depending on what the situation could be, a part of us leaves. And we call it soul retrieval. It's when we have to create space, a safe space for that part of your soul to come back. I do not believe that my friend would have been able to have that connection with her inner child in America. Because, right, we're in the rat race. We're going so much. We're always doing for other people. But coming here to Africa and being able to have this time to focus on ourselves, focus on our wellness, and focus on our healing, she was able to do that. I'm single in Ghana. What I've noticed is that along my journey, Ghana has really shown me a beautiful side of myself and the woman that I'm becoming. I'm still learning her. I'm still learning, how does she really feel now that she's out of the rat race? Like, I can really sit with myself. And then I ask myself these questions like, would you date you? And I'm like, yeah, I would date me. I absolutely would. And so when I come across different men here in Ghana, it's different. Dating is different. Number one, I think that men in the US are more aggressive. Like, they see you, they think you look nice, they will approach you and say, hey, can I get your phone number? Are you single? Are you married? I don't really get that here in Ghana. I think it's like a roundabout way, like they, in your DMs, they messaging you 15, 20 times. It's like, just get to the good part. Like, what is it? You want to take me out? Like, what is it? What are we doing here? So that's what I feel. And another thing, Ghanaian men are very soft-spoken. Oh my gosh, I'm always like, I can't hear you. I'm like, what did you say? It's like, they're very soft-spoken. And it's, so I asked the Ghanaian friend, why is that? And he says, because they're gentle. And I like that. And so it's getting used to a different culture. It's learning the ways. Now, I will also say this. I have met a couple Ghanaian men that I felt were very forward. And so much so that it was like a turnoff to me. Yeah, so I'm just trying to, I'm just navigating the waters. I'm trying to find my balance on, again, because I'm becoming, right? So what do I like? What don't I like? And trying to put that out to the universe, right? So yeah, so dating, it's good. I've been on some dates and there were some I'm like, I will not go on another date with that person again. Yeah, so. So since moving to Ghana, I definitely feel like I am a different person. As I shared, I am becoming, I'm still learning parts of myself that I was not able to unlock living in the US. And it's funny because Amina and I, we had a conversation and I said, Amina, like, what, do you notice anything different about me, since we've lived in Ghana? And she said, yeah, she said, I feel like you've come out of your shell. And that was very powerful for my 10-year-old to notice, that even back home, I wasn't living up to my fullest potential. What brings me peace living here in Ghana is just the ability to be. I'm not trying. I can just be who I am. I don't have to walk outside and put on a mask and try to put on a charade or a show for people. I can just show up and be me, and that's enough. Sacrifices that I had to make in order to live the life that I'm living here in Ghana and to have the peace that I have here in Ghana, the sacrifices was, I would say, relationships. I had to sacrifice the perceptions of others. When people are used to seeing you be a certain way, when they have access to you a certain way, when you take that away, right, it's a sacrifice. And the sacrifice was choosing myself. I made a sacrifice to put myself first. And it's hard to do. It's hard to do. Many people will never experience it. You absolutely lose people in that transition. But you have to know that everybody can't go with you. Everybody can't come. And when you try to bring people along with you on the journey, when they have an expiration date in your life, they will weigh you down. They'll weigh you down. Building community in Ghana has been interesting, the culture. So I shared that before. Coming here, I didn't want to come here and live like an expat. And what I mean by that is I didn't want to come here and live away from the culture. And some people choose to do that, and that's their journey. For me, I wanted to be immersed in the culture. I wanted to, I'm here on the compound. I want to eat the food that they eat. So, I have videos of me, trying to make fufu and, really You talked about like hanging the dry clothes out, right? Sometimes Amina, even though we have a washing machine, she's out there with the neighbors washing her clothes by hand. But that's what you get when you're in the culture. I'm gonna share this. This was crazy. I wasn't ready for this. The other day I was driving, I was on my way to Pilates. There was a cow, just like on the side of the street, right? I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I noticed the cow is big. So then I leave Pilates, I come back. The cow has been slaughtered on the street. On the street. And then in my mind, I said, well, like, where did you think they were going to do it? Like, you know, back in the US, oh, you got a nice butcher shop, you know. Where did you think they were going to slaughter it? But it was like, community was all around. Like, there were kids in front, like everybody was watching the process. And it was very different. But where else would you get that if you were not immersed in the culture? Where would you see that at? Never see it. Like a couple weeks ago, the neighbors had a chicken, right? So they had a chicken. Now I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. Amina is pescatarian. She doesn't eat meat either. And I'm sleeping. I'm taking a nap. She comes in and she's crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? Now I'm mad. I'm waking up out of my bed. She woke me up. She's crying. I'm like, what is going on? Why are you crying? They killed the chicken. And I was like, so I'm mad. I'm mad at Amina because I'm like, well, why were you out there watching them kill the chicken? Right? But where else would you get that experience if you weren't living in the culture, right? So, you know, it's learning. It's all a learning process. And, you know, what I'll say to diasporans that, you know, are coming over, experience the culture, right? Experience it. I wanted to be a part of it, right? Intermingle with the culture in Ghana. There's a lot to learn. Living here in Ghana, I definitely feel wealthier. And wealth is subjective to the person. So I'm not basing my wealth on a mathematical number. Wealth for me is, how do I feel? I feel free. I am free. My nervous system is regulated. I'm calmer. I have a lightness about me. I don't feel heavy and weighed down. And for me, health is wealth. I definitely would like to have a home here, you know, that I own land here in Ghana. So definitely looking to do that. And traveling all over the continent. I have seen it in my mind's eye. Myself and Amina and my other daughter, my son, traveling the continent of Africa, touching down in different countries and really exploring. Makes me a little emotional. Yeah. You know, it's good. It's good emotion. Wow. I would say we did it. I would say we did it. You know, there are a lot of times that you're not able to choose yourself. You know, you're pouring into so many other people. But to be able to choose you, yeah, we did it. You know, and I think Americans, we have this, like, we wanna see all the steps. We want to know that everything is going to work out. It doesn't work that way. Clarity comes because you moved, because you've taken the action. So some people want to have the clarity before they move. It doesn't happen like that. Clarity comes because you moved. You have to take the step. You have to take the action first. It is. And everything else will fall into line. I want to share this with people that are thinking about coming to Ghana or Africa, have that calling that there's something more for them in their lives. If not now, when? That's what I ask people. If not now, when? When can you choose yourself? When can it be your time? And for me, my date was when I got my oldest daughter off to college. When I saw her graduate and got her off to college, then it was my time. If not now, when? Maybe now you can't. But when can it be your time? When can you choose you? When can you put yourself first? The advice that I would give to single mothers who are looking to change the trajectory of their life and their children's life is do it. Do it. I can't say that the journey is easy, but I will say the journey is worth it. It's worth it. Yeah. And so when I work with clients, I help clients to relocate here. And I tell people that relocation is so much more than logistics. It starts with an inner knowing, and it starts with your mindset. You have to have a different frame of mind to pick up and leave and go to a different country. You do. And then to do that with children, you have to be so steadfast in your conviction for your life and your direction that you want to go, that you are able to put out all the distractions, you are able to put out all the naysayers, and really hone in on what it is that you say that you're going to do. And so it's not easy by any stretch, but it is worth it. Absolutely.